Being afraid of death is a human feeling that is more than understandable. Going to meet death means going into the unknown by detaching ourselves from our own bodies and leaving our loved ones, and this frightens us. What are we going to meet? Will God welcome us? In this video, we talk about the extraordinary testimony of someone who crossed the boundary of life, met Jesus, and had the opportunity to tell his story. It is the moving story of Father Jean Derobert, which he himself also told on television on the occasion of the canonization of Padre Pio. Before continuing this exceptional story, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and support our faith community. Father Derobert had a special bond with Padre Pio, who had accepted him as a spiritual son and at every important moment of his life had made his closeness to the young man felt. So also that morning in 1955, Padre Pio had sent him a short letter, a message of a few lines in which was written, "Life is a struggle, but it leads to the light." Father Jean Derobert received the letter in Algeria. He had been sent there because he worked in the Army Health Service. He did not understand the meaning of those few lines, at least at first. That same night, a group of men from Algerian National Liberation Front fighting against the French colonial government invaded his village. Derobert was captured along with 5 other men and was shot on the spot. After the shooting, he saw his body lying and bleeding among his comrades who were also lifeless. After a few moments, he began a kind of upward ascent into a tunnel. From the clouds around him, he could make out faces familiar to him. At first, the faces were gloomy. These were his disreputable acquaintances, sinners. But as he ascended, the faces became brighter. Suddenly, his thoughts turned to his parents, and immediately he found himself in their home, in their bedroom, and noticed that they were asleep. He noticed that a piece of furniture had been moved in the house, and sometime later, writing to his mother, he asked her why they had moved it. The surprised woman replied that it was true, but he could not understand how she knew. Shortly thereafter, Don Derobert thought of the Pope, Pius XII, whom he knew well because as a student he had studied in Rome. Again, immediately he found himself in the Pope's room, who had just gone to bed and was able to exchange some thoughts with him. Suddenly he found himself in a wonderful landscape, lit by a gentle blue light. There were many people there, all in their 30s. He recognized people he had known in life, but it struck him that everyone was rejuvenated. After a short time, he left this wonderful place to go even higher. At this moment, he felt that he had lost his human nature, had become a kind of spark of light, and he noticed that there were other sparks of light beside him, and realized that they were St. Peter, St. John, and St. Paul. Going up again, he saw the Virgin Mary, beautiful in her cloak of light. She greeted him with a very sweet smile, and behind her was Jesus, who was also extremely beautiful, and behind Jesus was an area of light that he understood to be the Father, and into which he went and immersed himself. There he was able to experience infinite joy, perfect happiness, but abruptly he awoke, finding himself in the dust, in the midst of his dead companions. He realized that the door behind him was riddled with the blows of bullets, and even his clothes were full of holes on both his chest and back. He was full of blood, but hardened and dried up. He looked for the holes on his body, but there was nothing. The bullets had gone through him, piercing his clothes and the door behind him, but he was unharmed. After a few hours, he headed to his commander, who as soon as he saw him shouted, "But you are a miracle worker!" After a few months, Don Derobert went to Padre Pio, who as soon as he saw him before he could say anything said to him, "Oh my son, how much you made me run, but what you saw was so beautiful." Of course, this experience marked Father Derobert forever and freed him forever from the fear of death. The story of Jean Derobert is an extraordinary story, which also testifies, among other things, to the out-of-the-ordinary abilities of Padre Pio. To this day, there are so many people who have had similar experiences. According to some statistics, millions of men and women from all walks of life, cultural backgrounds, and ages have recounted extraordinary encounters experienced during times when they had been clinically dead. While it is true that those who have faith do not need these stories to believe in God, to trust in His love and presence, it is also true that these testimonies leave us astonished and amazed because they confirm once again that we do not have to fear death. We do not have to fear the end of our lives because, as written in the Scriptures, we are only here for a short time, and our true life is in the kingdom of heaven. This story and the many other similar stories show us no matter what the situation we are in, if we have faith, we have nothing to fear because Jesus is always with us, does not abandon us, and is waiting for us in our true home in the kingdom of heaven.